Hello and welcome. My name is Omechanicum or Mech. Today I will be unboxing and looking at the new kit from Fat Cat, a new company on the scene. Apparently this is a upscale of the RG 2.0 by Bandai. And I love the RG 2.0, so it'll be interesting to see what this is like. What we'll do in this video is we'll go through an unboxing. There'll be a speed build of the build process of this kit. And then, like other reviews, we'll go through the aesthetics, the articulation, how I thought the build went, my conclusions, and whether or not you should buy one. Again, I'm not really into third buy, but we'll see. So without further ado, let's get on into it. Alright, so let's get into it. This is first look. As you can see, it's still wrapped in this bubble wrap it came in. I did import this from Japan, so we'll see what it looks like. Really well wrapped. The box is hefty, so we'll see what it's like inside in a sec. Oh god, hello. Just a bubble wrap alone is a pain in my ass. Right. They really wrap this bubble wrap up nicely. So whoever sent this to me knew how to pack, because it wasn't a bigger box than this with more bubble wrap. There we go. Right. Okay, so as you can see, there is no artwork or anything like that. It just says Fat Cat 001 because this is their first Gunpla kit. Like I said, they've only made a ship from One Piece before. Okay, here we go. God, my throat. So gacky. Right. First things first, we have an actual metal chain. So this is actually metal. So that's cool. So I've built the RG 2.0 before, like I've said. I've done a review video on that, and it's one of my favorite RGs to date. So far, this is looking quite similar from what I can tell. Don't know if you lot can tell if you've got an RG 2.0 right next to you. The panel lining is done really well. Like how deep these panel lines are. Don't know how we're going to get that on the camera. I don't have the light directly on my camera at the moment. But we'll have more look at those after the build. It comes with quite a varied effects sprue. And the hands are, you know, multi-piece hands, not for expression hands, which is what I don't like, is the expression hands. So I like it when it's like that. Oh, that's interesting. This is so this looks like. So you remember when they released a 2.0, they also for P-bandai released a weapons upgrade kit, and this looks like this has got some of it in. So yeah, it's got a hyper hammer. There's a lot of detailing here. We'll take it out of the bags and we'll see how the plastic feels. But so far, looks like it comes with 2 hyper bazookas. Just by this, there's 2 magazines here for hyper bazookas. The chest piece, and it's a mustard yellow. I'm not sure what I prefer. I don't know if I prefer the orange yellow from the Origins kit, the yellow from the standard kit, or this mustard yellow. It's a bit difficult to say. It looks like we got 2 hyper hammers. The underslung grenade launcher you would have seen in the early episodes of Mobile Suit Gundam. I want to give you 2 hyper. Oh, they're different designs. I see. So 2 hyper hammers, different designs. We'll look at that more closely in a bit. Yeah, a lot of this here is quite similar to how the RG was made. We've also got more of the inner frame parts. So we do have a sticker sheet, and it looks like it's so the sticker sheet is just for lights, the eyes, the cameras, and some reflective parts. And then we have a decal sheet underneath that for more like markings and stuff like that. So that'll be interesting. Put that there. And then this is the instruction manual. So yeah, so there's all for sprues or runners. I learned a lot about injection molding the other day, and it is, no matter what hobby system you play, these are runners, but sprues are the injection points. So yeah, and then you go for gates and all that, and nubs and stuff like that. But yeah, it looks pretty good so far. This is a nice, even though it is coloured. Most of this, like some of this is all black and white, but some of these parts are coloured. But it's a nice thick plastic material, which is good for workspace. But judging by it, it's built very similar to a 2.0, which is what they said. But we'll see when I actually build the thing. And I wonder if there may be space for lights. They'll added some extra bits where you can add your own LEDs. This will get my full attention, unlike the other third parties I got from AliExpress. I'll actually panel line this one. And I might put the decals on as well, depending on how nice the build is. Because the 2.0 RG is an amazing build, and Bandai should have done it in an MG. That same system as an MG, do like a 4.0. Because a 3.0 is not the best. Especially those emotion hands. So you get one hyper bazooka, but it looks like it's like different. Oh no, you do it twice. So there's two hyper bazookas. All right, according to this, is two hyper bazookas, and there's a lance. And there's two hyper hammer heads. So yeah, so it does look like they've, included the P-bandai weapon upgrade kit in this kit. These hyper bazookas, if they're any good, I might recreate them for PGU, for PG Unleashed RX-78-2. If these hyper bazookas are any good, it has a full color display of where to put all the markings and that. This is really well thought out. Also, like the RG 2.0. And did the RG 2.0 have a? No, it didn't. So the RG, unlike some previous kits like the MG 3.0 and the original RG, it doesn't come with a core block. It comes with a core fighter, but not a core block. But the RG 2.0 can be displayed without the core fighter and still function, still maneuver, because it's got quite good connection points at the hip and the torso, because it doesn't rely on the core fighter as the main part, because there's like a locking system on the back that allows it to lock in onto the base part here without needing the core fighter inside it. But we will see. So first things first, let's try and open one of these away from the... Which one was it? Right, let's look at this one first. So, yeah, so you get two different hyper hammers. So you get one that's clean, that's going to have just the spikes on, and you got one that has thrusters on the hyper hammer, which is interesting. Then what was the other one? The other one I wanted to have a quick look at before we get into it. I think it was a head, with the head on it. That's it there. So I don't know if I can get this. It might be a bit weird on this camera because I've got no light coming from behind it. But yeah. These panel lines here are quite deep. So it's actually going to make panel lining a lot of fun. So I'm wondering, because this here is not part of the original RG, this lance part here. So it does make me wonder if they managed to get a hold of the CAD CAM files of the RG 2.0 and they've reorientated them on their own runners. So that would be interesting to see. Yeah, there's definitely 2 hyper bazooka tubes in here as well. Right. Okay. So I might later on. I'll pull up the. God, that just fits in there. Go on, in there. I'll have to pull up. I'll have to pull up the RG 2.0 runners images and see how they differ between the two. And I'll do that in my other part of the review. Yeah, that is a metal chain. I don't know why Bandai can't include metal chains. But then again, the RG 2.0 weapon expansion kit has this chain. So this is technically from the G-Quaxu Red Gundam. That's a hyper hammer. But this chain here is from the RG P-bandai expansion weapon set. So this is the RG chain. So it does allow you to give you a better way of making poses than this chain would, because this chain is so loose and floppy. And I've got a hyper hammer from the RG 3.0 here, MG 3.0, and as you can see here, this is plastic. But again, because it's so floppy, it's hard to, do poses with it. So it was interesting that they went with a metal chain instead of a kind of semi-fixed chain like this one. It doesn't look as good because of the way the chain looks there, but we'll see. Alright then. So, that there is the unboxing of a Fat Cat MG RG 2.0 upscale. So yeah, so 1144 to 1100, they've upscaled it. Alright, so let's look at it, now let's build it. See you in a bit. is now built, as you've seen from the speed build. I didn't really use any stickers. I tried using the stickers of this, but they didn't stick that well back onto here after taking them off here. As you can see, I tried one of them and they didn't actually stick to the part I wanted it to stick to. That's one issue with the build I had. Overall, though, it's not a bad build. For a third-party scale-up, which I'll go more into my conclusion, it's pretty good. The tolerances are very tight, though. In some cases, I had to really force them together where it actually left imprints on my fingers. And sometimes I had to actually bite down with my teeth on it just to get the parts to go together properly. Overall, though, I think it took me about 4 hours to build it, then another 2 hours to do the panel lining and some painting. I haven't put any decals on it, as you can see yet, but I'll be doing that afterwards for my own pleasure. But I thought it'd be best to look at it as it is. So yeah, not a bad build. Nothing too strenuous, and if you've built the RG 2.0 of what this is based on, you're going to have a similar experience. No issues there. The one thing that did surprise me was all the extra parts, all the extra weapons that you would normally get with the P-bandai expansion set with the RG 2.0 have come with this. So there's no extra cost there, which is good. And all these build pretty well. As you can see here, that is actually not a bad effect part. Pretty good plastic. That's what I mean, is as well as that the plastic's actually quite good. It's not soft, brittle, spongy. It doesn't feel like cheap plastic. So that cat did that well there. The only, like I said, the only thing before when I first saw it was this chain. It's going to be hard because the chain is heavy and the hammer heads are heavy too. You're going to have a hard time posing with just this, unlike the RG 2.0 Hyper Hammer comes with this kind of stuck in place chain where you can, it is adjustable. The articulation is really pretty good with this kit. As you can see, what I'm about to do in front of you is the parts are very stiff, but it has the same articulation as the RG 2.0, and the parts being stiff is not really an issue that much. Sometimes when things are stiff, you always got the concern of breaking something. But in this case, because that for plastic is well made, that is not something you actually have to worry about. I actually get him onto one knee, please. There you go. So yeah, articulation is really good. Everything I loved about the RG 2.0 is here. You can definitely get the arms all the way over his shoulder, like so. And then you can also move, like for 2.0, you can move the beam saber holders to meet the arms, which makes it easier. And also which means you can move beam sabers out of the way for when you're doing poses with the hyper bazookas, which you get two of. So that's always nice. Like I said, everything's stiff. Not too stiff that you feel like you're going to break it though. And because of the plastics it's made from, it's not going to break anytime soon. It is quite a very sturdy MG. It is far from a hand grenade. like most MGs are these days, like for 3.0. It's really well thought out. It does mean I question some things though about Fat Cat, which I'll go into later. It does allow you to do multiple poses. You can do all the iconic poses from the anime and out of this kit with no issues. And because it's an MG, it's going to look great on the shelf. So aesthetically, this is very nice. When you compare it to other MGs, let's take my Origins here. As you can see here, the Origins has a fatter chest. And this one's got a little bit skinnier, but it kind of keeps the shape going. I prefer the colors on this MG to the Origin or any others. Even the 3.0 colors are not as good as this. It is kind of similar color scheme to the PGU, Perfect Grade Unleashed RX-78-2, which isn't bad, you know. And the panel lines, there's a theory I've got going here, but because the panel lines on this kit are actually quite deep, deeper than most panel lines on an MG kit would be, that it's very easy to panel line this kit. If we just have a look at the head here, just come on, focus camera. There we go. You can see these lines here are like at least a mil deep. Same with every panel line that you see on this kit. They're very deep, and there's no shallow panel lines, unlike what there was on other MGs, like this one here. You can look at some of the panel lines, and they're very almost surface detailed panel lines, and not that deep, especially on the head. So Fat Cat did a really good job there, and it just looks nice. I have to say, it's like the proportions of the RG 2.0 work well in MG size. I'm quite happy with this, and it will look good amongst all your other MGs. All your RX-78s like I have. I have too many RX-78s now. But it just looks nice. The beam sabers, I like the look of the beam sabers compared to these ones. They're not overly detailed, which is great. It's like there's enough panel line in here to panel line and keep you interested, but there's not too much. I don't like it when there's too much panel lining. There's too much going on. Yes, you don't want boring flat surfaces like you got here on the Origin, and they haven't done that here. So on the 2.0, they've actually added like little notches here and there. So it's really nice. Right, let's take a look at the MG versus what it's based on. What it's been scaled up from. As well as maybe comparisons like I did in the last one with some MGs and maybe the PGU. But as you can see here, so this is one I've just built for the Fat Cat MG. And this is the RG that is scaled up from. Of course, the most obvious comparison is that size difference. Of course, this is a 1144 RG. This is a 1100 MG. So, but they're almost, I believe, other than that, they are identical in look. Every single panel line, every single detail. You know, I haven't. There's some bits I've done here I haven't done this yet, like with chroming. But they're stickers or paint. Same with the decals. I haven't done decals on this one yet, but they'll be the same. Every single bit. It is almost identical. Which makes me think. I have a theory. There's two ways that Fat Cat have done this, that have made this 1/100 be as good as for RG 2.0, but not as flimsy. This is a little bit more flimsy than this one. This one's more delicate. You feel like you're going to break this one more than you would this one. I can throw this around and not worry about the joints, where this one, the knee starts to go, the hip starts to go. You can't throw the RG around as much. Same with the core fighters. You notice here as well that I think this core fighter is actually from the RG 1.0 because it's a slightly different color. The core fighter for this one's inside. So the RG 2.0 comes with one core fighter, and I have it inside there. Whereas this 1/100 Gundam comes with two core fighters. Two. So not only this is one of them here, which I've got the red canopy on. There's another core fighter inside that you probably saw me build from the speed build, and it has a white canopy. Oh, come on. There you go. It's a little bit fiddly. But there you go. See, there's a core fighter in there with a white canopy. If I get the RG open. And there's a core fighter in there with a blue canopy. So the standard RG only comes with one canopy, which is alright. But if you want to display, like a lot of people do, want to display a core fighter alongside the RX-78, like I have done here with this, they've supplied two. Which is, I think, is awesome. So that's another comparison, because this kit, they've had to, the runners are not identical. That is definite. So the runners are made differently between the RG and this 1/100. So they could fit all the P-bandai expansion set parts on there. You know, for extra hyper bazooka. Rocket pod comes as standard with the RG 2.0 for the beam rifle. But all the other parts, like the lance and all that, so they're completely different runners, but all the parts, and I can tell this from a fact, all the parts are identical. They're so identical, and they're just upscaled, that even the parts themselves on this RG are thicker, on this 100, are thicker than these MG parts. By at least, you know, it might be only nanometers, but it makes all the difference. These parts are a lot thicker, a lot sturdier than these parts. Which means all they did was just got a slider, went whoop, scaled it up. So that leads me to a theory. There's two ways they've made this. One is that cat has a very competent 3D modeler on their team who got an RG 2.0 and just measured everything, like I did for my PGU Hyper Bazooka. Took an MG Hyper Bazooka, measured everything, and just scaled it up. And that's what they could have done with the RG. They might have had a very good 3D modeler who took an RG 2.0, took every single part, measured everything exactly, that there's completely no difference between the two, except for scale. However, the second theory I got, which is most likely, especially judging by how thick the plastic is on this one, on the parts on this one, they've got hold of the CAD-CAM files. They've got hold of Bandai's 3D files that they use for doing the CAD-CAM runners to make the machine parts to injection mold for this kit. They have somehow got hold of a CAD CAM files, and all they did was just increase the scale on a slider to make this. I would love Fat Cat to tell me either way how they've got this to be so good. And the main difference is just the plastic the same thickness. So parts I build this, and then it's the exact same build experience, just bigger. So if you love this, but you hated the fact that it's fiddly, this might be your answer. And it's a shame Bandai didn't think of it first, using the RG 2.0 parts to make a MG RX-78. And it took a third-party company to do it. Because it's so identical in every aspect, every detail. Such a good copy. And the Fat Cat have used amazing plastic. That plastic is just as good as Bandai's plastic. It's just, it amazes me, really. And I'm really glad I brought one. And this is the same price as this. I spent the same amount of money on getting this one as I did on this one. Which begs the question now, is Bandai going to start getting in trouble if Fat Cat starts making more models like this? Again, the only issue is Bandai made this in mass production, where it's so easy to get hold of for RG 2.0 now. Whereas Fat Cat, I don't know how many they made, how big their run was of this kit. So I don't know how much harder it is to get hold of this 1/100 version of a 2.0. So, most of you who've watched my channel, who know me by now, know I'm not one for buying third-party or bootleg kits when I can just get the real thing, even if it's slightly more expensive. Or in most cases, like with the HG Spartan, one I got from AliExpress was a tenner, whereas a P-bandai version of it, the official one, is you're talking 80 quid these days. But there are some times where I make an exception when it comes to third-party companies or new companies who just come out from woodwork. So take YOLO Park, for instance. I built their huge, what was it called? The name escapes me of that transformer now. Shockwave, that's it. So I built their Shockwave from YOLO Park, and that was an amazing kit. And it showed that there are other companies out there who could do what Bandai does, and even better than what Bandai does. And this kit, again, proves that there are companies out there that can do just as good as Bandai, if not better. So if you haven't built an RG 2.0, I'd say get one. It's still a quite nice RG kit to have. One of the better RGs they've made in recent years. And it has an entire inner frame which there is instructions on Bandai's site to build it as an inner frame only, instead of just having, like I've got here with the armor. Which you could then use those instructions, to be fair, to build this in the same way. The instructions were exactly the same between the two. So this 1/100's instruction manual followed exactly as the RG instruction manual does. And future mech will put up a comparison of the manuals up for you all to see. But yeah, it's an odd one. It's a third party I really like. And there's one I would actually advise, if you see one and you can get one at a decent price, not an inflated price, at a decent price, I'd say probably get one. And Bandai would probably hate me saying that, to be fair. But if Bandai did this as their own MG, just as good, I would then advise get that instead. But when I paid £36 and imported it from Japan, because I got it in a Japanese auction. So I paid 36 quid, Then I paid 20 quid shipping, so that's 56 quid. You're looking at then that normal MG cost for this kit when you have to import it in that as well. The RG 2.0, you can get that from stores like Gunpla UK or Kickertech and that for around about the same price, 36 quid to 40 quid. So yeah, it's all about scale then and availability. The RG 2.0 is more available, easier to get hold of, and is technically cheaper than this if you include for postage. And you'll get this in most stores in the UK and in the US if you live there. Definitely, you know, it's a good kit. The RG 2.0 is one of my favorite RGs that have ever been released so far. But this 100 here from Fat Cat is up there with some of the best MGs I've built, 100s I've built. Like the O was a great build. So Bandai, the gauntlet has been laid down. You have been challenged by another company from China, no less. And they have proven they can do just as good as you, if not better. This MG is probably one of the best MGs RX-78-2s I've built. I've built probably over 30 RX-78-2s now from all different scales, all the way from the SD all the way up to the PG. And even the mega sized. I've got a mega sized RX-782 as well. I've built all the Ichiban's, I've built Origins, I've built multiple 3.0s. I can tell you now, this 100 much better than 3.0. Especially because it doesn't have expression hands, it comes with fixed hands. And I prefer fixed hands over expression hands because fixed hands are more reliable. Yes, you can't get as many expressions from fixed hands, but it gives you what you need. It gives you triggers, it gives you open hand, it gives you fists. And that's all you need, really. So yeah, definitely. In my honest opinion, if you can get one, get one. But like I said, that's more available. If you want this build experience, but smaller, get the RG 2.0. Perfect kit for that. You can get it at Gunpla UK. Use my code OMechanic and 10%. You get 10% off any order on there. This, however, is going to be a lot harder to get hold of. Like I said, I had to import this from Japan myself. No UK sellers selling it. And I don't think it's on AliExpress right now. It's like I said, it's 50 quid altogether. But it's worth it. Especially with all the accessories you get. So many accessories, like for... Not only do you get for Meteor Hyper Hammer, you get for Meteor Hammer. You get 2 Hyper Bazookas. You get the beam rifle with the underslung grenade pod. You get, of course, you get the shield with an extra 2 beam sabers on top of that. You get the beam lance. And, you get the bendy beam saber. So you can do that iconic first pose when he slices the Zaku 2 in half in episode 2 or 3 of the original series. And a lot of this stuff you have to buy P-bandai for the RG 2.0. So yeah. And also 2 core fighters, so you can display it with a core fighter outside and still have a core fighter inside to create the core structure. Even though it can be displayed without a core fighter, it's much better with a core fighter in it. Same with the RG 2.0. That's why I don't display that core fighter outside. I've got the original RG core fighter to display with it. So yeah. This is, if you can get it, get it. Thank you all for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this review of the Fat Cat 100 RX-78. And I hope it has enlightened you into some third parties that can be actually quite good. But there are few and far between, in my opinion, with third parties. Like the MG Zaku tank I built the other day for the AliExpress video, that was dog shit. No matter how much excuses you can make about it, it's cheap and all that, it's third party, it's dog shit. Fair, plain and simple. But this third party is good. I liked it. I enjoyed the build. I will be decaling this more later on. And it is one of the better 1/100s of the RX-78 I have built in a long time. So I would definitely get that. But yeah, thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the video. See more videos and reviews that I'll be putting out later on. Unfortunately, I will be on holiday for a bit, so there might be a delay in the next video. But I might be able to get something quick out for you all. And I hope you liked it. Well, until next time, remember, knowledge is power. Bye now.